We've all been awaiting some positive news on the coronavirus vaccine front. And here it is. The United Kingdom has become the first Western country to go ahead and approve a vaccine. It's the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine that's been approved by the regulatory body in the United Kingdom. It's the Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Authority that's given the go-ahead for this vaccine to be administered for emergency use, and thereby it's paved the way for the United Kingdom to be the first Western country to approve a vaccine for its citizens. Now, coming to how this really affects India's fight against coronavirus. Unfortunately, we can't get our hopes up. There are several challenges when we talk about the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine, which means that practically speaking, this is not the best vaccine candidate for India and perhaps is not something that we can actually bring to India. There are two reasons for that, and this is something that the government also has raised apprehensions over. Number one is the storing temperatures of this particular vaccine. This vaccine, Pfizer and BioNTech's vaccine, has to be stored at minus 70 degrees Celsius. Needless to say, we don't have the resources for that. Imagine in rural parts of the country, if we have to vaccinate every single part and every single Indian, you have to ensure that these vaccine reaches rural parts. Where is the infrastructure? Cold storage options are not there to store this vaccine at minus 70 degrees Celsius. Pfizer BioNTech have said that this can be stored in fridge temperatures at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius for about 5 days. But even in such a circumstance, that will mean that we have to have a very robust system so that the vaccine travels really all across the country within that limited time period of 5 days. And this is something experts have said seems practically impossible in a country like India with such a vast population, and to ensure that it travels within a specified time period or to provide cold storage options. The government is saying that they're looking for options and alternatives to find a way to address this problem and this issue with regards to the storage of the vaccine. The second issue is with what I mentioned earlier, the novel technology called messenger RNA. What that means is that this vaccine is pretty expensive. So will it be able to reach every Indian? It's still a big question mark, because a lot of people may not be able to afford this vaccine. The government has spoken time and again about ensuring an affordable vaccine, while Pfizer BioNTech doesn't seem to be one. And that is a challenge again that authorities will have to address. Even if this vaccine comes into India, it perhaps will not just take months to actually be brought in, but also the fact that there will be challenges of storage, and also the fact that it's expensive will mean that it's a very limited number of Indians who will be able to get themselves vaccinated by this Pfizer BioNTech vaccine. So there are logistical concerns for India. Unfortunately, even as the United Kingdom has approved this vaccine for India, it could take a few more months, and which is why we've got our hopes pinned on a couple of other vaccine candidates. Moderna's vaccine candidate is something we're focusing on. Besides that, Oxford University and AstraZeneca's vaccine candidate Covishield, for which trials are also underway by the Serum Institute of India, is another vaccine candidate that India has its hopes pinned on. The Pfizer BioNTech vaccine may work in several countries, but for India, it may not necessarily be the solution to the coronavirus outbreak. Now, Pfizer and BioNTech have already got all the resources ready to distribute this vaccine worldwide. They've in fact said that they have about 50 million doses ready to be distributed immediately in 2020. And as far as 2021 goes, they're hoping that by the end of 2021, 1.3 billion doses will be distributed. And this will go across the world, whoever has a tie-up with Pfizer and BioNTech. This is very, very good news in the fight against coronavirus. But as I mentioned, for India, there are perhaps a few challenges that must be addressed, and our greatest hopes really are on some other vaccine candidates.